The air conditioning on this 2023 Genesis GV60. Something caught my eye because, of course, I have not updated myself on the technology and the mode of operation of this heat recovery system, heat pump system. And but because commercial HVAC, I'm already very familiar with that, and heat pumps for the last 50 years. It's just coming in cars. Cars are nothing more than just little toys for little boys. But let's look at this. What catches your eye right here? This is what caught my eye and made me very interested in this, because I was looking at this and at this system, and I'm going, wait a minute, this can't be a condenser this small, but yet it's on the refrigeration lines. But what caught my eye at first was not just the size, in that when you look back inside here, there is no other condenser. You will go, well, that's just a secondary condenser. You know, like when you see a Ferrari or a Tesla where it has two condensers, and you might think that that's just the other half or 1/3, whatever. No, that's not the case here. What do you see? What spots your eye off, other than the size, is that both of these lines are equal size. You got the little tiny number 6, or what is that, 8mm internal diameter on both of them, inlet and outlet. This is not a condenser. You go, what do you mean it's not a condenser? It has refrigerant going through it, and that's a condenser. No, that is a subcooler. That is what that is doing, subcooling. Its only purpose is subcooling. You go, well, what's the difference between subcooling and a condenser? Look it up. I'm not going to give you the answer. Some of you know, some of you don't know. This is where I don't hand you the information on a silver platter. I've recommended, especially if this is the Facebook group, and anybody, when I release this on my YouTube channel, go to the Facebook group called Automotive HVAC Technicians and join that group, and you'll see a lot of resources and information that I have tagged, linked, and put up and uploaded from other channels, all about heat pumps and subcooling, superheat, all that kind of information that I've never covered on, or just a little bit on my YouTube channel. It's on the Facebook group. But let's get back to this. Take a look at this. Look in here. Do you see those openings? Let's see if I could zoom in there. Now let's see if the Apple wants to focus. You see those openings? Those are exactly the same size. This is a subcooled circuit. Well, you go, if you know something and you know this is a subcooling circuit, now you go, well, where's the condensing circuit? The condensing circuit is in the glycol water loop. I've mentioned something about the Genesis before, but I only get to see bits and pieces because I'm usually in a hurry. And today I want to take a little extra time on this. So there's a glycol loop circuit on here that's part of the HVAC system using plate heat exchangers. And I talked about plate heat exchanger before. Look at the size of that massive plate heat exchanger, but you're just getting to see a little bit of the plate heat exchanger. Right here, where my finger's hitting, that's in the glycol loop circuit and refrigeration circuit. Let me get this up here. Look at that other one right there. But that's the one I'm looking at. See this big boy right here? This is the guy I'm going after. That's one of the biggest plate heat exchangers, and it's going through the glycol loop. So that is taking the place, that is your condenser. That is doing the condensing part of a parallel flow condenser that has a parallel flow condenser that would normally have the receiver dryer on the side, the round tube, because it separates the liquid from the refrigerant. But this also has a large accumulator on it too. So after it does its condensing, it comes back and it sends the liquid through the subcooler filled with liquid, and it performs the subcooling through there, and then it goes off and it feeds the 2 expansion valves. That's how this one's working. So that is just a subcooler. It's not the condenser. The condenser is in the glycol loop. That is one of the big, what would some guys would call radiators. They're filled with glycol, and there's 2 of them. That is just the glycol loop going to that massive, giant heat exchanger. And man, that makes me thirsty. I really want one of those. I can't wait until there's a totaled out Genesis that's just smashed all the hell to pieces, because if that's not damaged, you know where that piece is kind of going into recycling, we can say. I'll put it to good use. But that's that right there. So I gotta hook up my vacuum pump to this because he just did that. And that's a YF refrigerant. That's 900 grams right here. This is YF refrigerant. Just did the condenser on this one. And was there something I wanted to say about this one? This one was just your plain Jane right here. Oh, take a look at this. Headlight was smashed. I wanted to look at the headlights. I'm interested in neon lights and laser lights and all that stuff. The circuit boards, and I like seeing the drivers getting into modifying and having the driver circuits and applying them to other applications. Just an electronics hobby of mine. But what spotted my eye really fast was when I seen this, and you go, what's this? There's nothing electronic in it. What do you see right there? Let's see if I zoom in. What do you see? Desiccant material. This thing is filled with desiccant. And it goes on the backside into a sealed housing to protect the electronics. And you know, desiccant is the stuff you get in your vitamins in the little pack that says do not eat. I wonder if they say do not eat. Oh yeah, they say do not eat. I guess bodymen must be taking these out and eating them, so they have to put a warning on them. So let's see if we get that right there. Here it is right there, right behind the large light. So that's encapsulated. That means they have this in a airtight, watertight, sealed encapsulament, and it has to be so moisture free that they have to put a desiccant like this in there. I wonder if there's a service replacement interval where there's like a 90K or 160,000 K, or they give so many years or something like that. They say this has to be serviced. So that is an interesting little fact about the lights that I've never seen before. And then coming over here to the Jeep, this is the other one. This is also YF. God, YF, I love freaking YF. There was something on here that spotted my eye. My eye caught this, and I'm looking at it right now in the camera. And it has to do with heat exchanger, you know, because I have a thing about heat exchangers for some reason. Okay, I'm getting closer. What do you see that looks a little different you haven't seen on cars before? Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint. Look at the radiator. Look at that heat exchanger. Do you see it yet? Let me zoom in for you. Do you see it yet? Okay, let me zoom in for you a little closer. Let's see if we could get the old Apple to focus now. There we go. Look at those tube and headers. They're not using the parallel flow flat, well, they're using parallel flow, but they're not using flat plate technology. They're not using the little tube and fin. They're using tubes, but not the flat tubes with the internal fins. They're using individual tubes on a header with gaskets, individual gaskets. Oh man, that's a lot of leak potentials. Every one of those little gaskets is a leak potential multiplied by 100. Not quite, but pretty much. Oh, the old one is over here. Let's take a look at that, and let me stop making you dizzy. Let's get it back to regular focusing here. I have to use my nose because, come on. There we go. No, we don't. There we go. Here's the old one. Get you a better look here in the sun. So that's the OEM. That was the OEM that was put on there. I'm curious to see what the longevity of these are going to be. Especially every time you make a connection point, you make a possible leak point. And that was off the Jeep. And you can see, if you look inside there, you can actually see the fins inside the tubes. You see those flat tubes in there, and you see all those little tiny pin openings? For those who haven't seen those. All right, so that's it for that. I got to get back and start gassing all three of these up. That's a good thing. Hooked our I could do all 3 vehicles simultaneously and pump them out, drain them down, charge them up simultaneously. Almost in the same time I could do 1 vehicle, a little bit longer. And just the setup time in between. Freaking love it. See you guys. I've had 2 cups of coffee this morning, so I'm hyper as hell. See ya. Hamster on meth.